My wife's son said I was never real family. I took them off the cards, switched all the bills to their mom's name, and closed every account. The only mail left in that house came from debt collectors. Don't forget to subscribe and share your experiences below. Let's get started. My name's David. I'm 49 years old. And for 5 years, I lived in a house that was mine in every legal sense, but never once felt like home. 5 years ago, I married a woman named Linda. She had 2 sons from a previous marriage, Jake and Noah. Jake was 19 at the time, already in community college. Noah was 16, all clenched jaw and headphones. Their father disappeared when they were teenagers. No explanation, no letters, not even a voicemail, just vanished like dust through the cracks of a screen door. And me? I thought I could step in, not to replace him, not to pretend, but to hold the parts together before they all fell apart. I thought I could give them a roof, some steadiness. Show them what a man looked like when he stayed. Not perfect, not a saint, but present. I moved them into a house I bought just outside Phoenix. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, central air, a long driveway with room for 3 cars. A fixer-upper, but solid. I did the repairs myself, patched the drywall, replaced the tiles, redid the landscaping in 100-degree heat. Jake got his own room for the first time in years. Noah had a backyard big enough to build his own skate ramp. I thought that would mean something to them. Didn't. In the beginning, they played along. We had dinners at the table, the kind where everyone passes plates and pretends the day mattered. We took weekend trips to Sedona, to the Grand Canyon, to Flagstaff in the winter just to see snow. I grilled. I paid. I smiled. They tolerated me like a side dish they didn't ask for. Linda told me they just needed time. Teenagers, she said. They're figuring it out. But time didn't soften them. It made them harder. Jake stopped calling me anything at all. Sometimes he'd mutter "mom's guy" when talking to his friends, like I was just some transient boyfriend crashing on their couch. Noah learned silence early, used it like a weapon. I'd ask him how school was and get a shrug, or worse, that blank stare teenagers give when they want you to know you're wasting their oxygen. But I kept going. I fixed things. Jake's laptop when it crashed the night before his midterms. Noah's car when the AC blew out in August. I bought a used Honda off Craigslist, tuned it up, and handed Noah the keys after he passed his permit test. He didn't say thank you, just nodded, got in, and drove off to meet his friends. Still, I told myself this was what building a family looked like. Not gratitude, not warmth, just consistency, just showing up. Then came the jokes. They started small. Noah once asked Linda, in front of me, if his real dad had ever grilled steaks the way I did. He used to make real food, he said, poking at the plate like it had insulted him. Jake laughed, didn't even look up from his phone. Linda smiled, awkward and thin, like she was afraid to correct them too harshly. Then came the mug. It was Christmas morning. I'd worked overtime the week before to afford everything. New headphones for Jake, skateboard gear for Noah, a bracelet Linda had been eyeing online. I didn't expect much in return. Card maybe, pair of socks, something quiet but decent. They handed me a box, wrapped in newspaper. No tag. I opened it. It was a mug, cheap ceramic, the kind you find in a gas station clearance bin. On the front, in big bold print, it said, "Not my dad." Jake burst out laughing. Noah grinned. "It's funny," he said, not even looking at me. Linda chuckled. "Come on, David, it's just a joke. Don't take it personally." I didn't say anything. I held the mug, stared at it like it was a verdict. A joke, they called it. But jokes always carry truth. Cut into it, and you find the thing someone didn't dare say outright. That was the moment it all settled in. Not as a suspicion, not as a maybe, but as a fact. This wasn't a family. It was a room full of people who had decided long ago that I wasn't one of them. That night, I went out onto the back porch, sat in the plastic chair I'd bought on sale at Lowe's, the one nobody else ever used. The air was cold, quiet. You could hear the wind moving through the trees, and in the distance, a dog barking, far away, like it was calling out for something it lost. I stared at that mug for a long time, turned it over in my hands like it was made of glass and could reveal something if I looked hard enough. But it didn't. It just sat there, silent, honest. Not my dad. Noah never asked me for help with his car again. He'd go straight to Linda, or worse, try to fix it himself and make it worse. Jake once told his friend, while I was in the next room, that I was just the guy who pays for stuff. They said it like I wasn't there, like I didn't bleed for this house. And Linda? She stopped noticing. Or maybe she chose not to. Every time they ignored me, she filled the silence with her voice, smoothing it over, like paint over a cracked wall. She told me once, when I tried to bring it up, that they were still adjusting. You're not their real dad, David. Don't take it so hard. Not their real dad. But every real consequence in their lives was built on my money, my labor, my time. I was the one who sat through every parent-teacher night while their father sent texts from a different area code. I was the one who paid for Jake's textbooks when the financial aid didn't come through. I was the one who picked up Noah at 2 a.m. when his tire blew on the I-10 and he didn't have anyone else to call. Still, I was just mom's guy. They never invited me into their real lives. Never asked what I thought. I was the man who made the bills go away. The man who fixed toilets and paid premiums and set the thermostat just right so nobody had to put on a sweater. I was maintenance, not family. It wore me down. Every meal felt colder. Every day felt longer. They moved through the house like I was a lamp. Something they turned on when they needed it, ignored when they didn't. They'd whisper about their father sometimes, like he was some fallen king. They remembered him with revisionist fondness. Said he used to laugh more, used to take them camping. Funny. I never saw a sleeping bag in that garage. Never saw any sign he left behind except the debt collectors still calling Linda's phone once a month. But to them, he was still Dad. Even in absence, he had a name. I never got one. One night, I found a letter on the kitchen counter. A birthday card addressed to Jake, from his father. Postmarked from Nevada. Inside was a $50 bill and a short note. Proud of you, son. Sorry I couldn't be there. Jake read it 3 times. Smiled. Then he left it there like it was sacred. Like that scrap of paper had weight. Could have screamed. Could have ripped it up and told him the truth. That this man wasn't proud of anything except getting out clean. But I didn't. I picked it up. Folded it. Put it in a drawer. Because I knew then that I had already lost. And I wondered how long a man can keep feeding a machine that only knows how to take. How long before he runs out. It ended on a Thursday night. No thunderclap. No fight. No dramatic confrontation in the kitchen with plates crashing and voices rising. Just a door. And a sentence. I had gotten home late from work. Traffic on the 202 was a nightmare. And overturned semi-sirens, the usual chaos. My hands were still trembling from the wheel. My head aching from too much caffeine and too little gratitude. I walked in expecting the usual indifference. A nod from Linda. A glance from the boys if I was lucky. Instead, I heard laughter. Not the good kind. Not warmth. Not joy. The sharp-edged kind, casual and cutting, like knives clicking against teeth. Came from the living room. I stood in the hallway, just out of sight, keys still in my palm. They hadn't heard me come in. Jake was talking. His voice carried that low-confidence young men wear when they think no one who matters is listening. Honestly, he said, I don't even get why Mom keeps him around. He pays, that's all. He's not family. Never was. Noah snorted. Dude just funds the operation. They both laughed. It was so clean. So unfiltered. So easy for them to say. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. That was it. That was the truth laid bare. After 5 years, that's what I had become in their eyes. A wallet with a pulse. A man-shaped debit card. I stood behind that door and felt something shift in my chest. Something permanent. Not rage. Not even grief. Just clarity. They didn't love me. Didn't even like me. I wasn't part of their story. I was infrastructure. And Linda? She wasn't there to hear it. But that's the problem, isn't it? She was never there when it counted. Her absence wasn't physical, it was silent. Complicit. The kind of absence that happens right in front of you, in plain sight, disguised as neutrality. She never stood up for me, never corrected them, never said, "That man built this life for you." She just let it happen. I stood there for maybe 10 minutes after their voices died down. Then I walked upstairs. Quiet, deliberate, didn't even take off my shoes. I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop, entered every password from memory. Bank accounts, insurance, phone plans, streaming services, college portals. I moved like a surgeon, precise, clinical, without emotion. First, I removed Jake and Noah from every linked credit card, every joint account. I canceled their phone lines. Both of them had been under my name since the first month I married Linda. Then I revoked autopayments on Jake's tuition and housing, locked the financial aid account, marked it no longer supported by sponsor. I knew the deadline. He had 12 days before the university started freezing access. Noah's gas card? Disabled. His Spotify account? Canceled. Xbox subscription? Gone. Next, I pulled open the drawer Linda never touched. Inside was a folder. Thick, heavy. A decade of bills, receipts, account statements. I flipped through page after page of charges. Braces for Noah, new tires for Jake, dental cleanings, birthday parties, prom tux rentals. Every line item was me. Every number a silent witness. Then I saw them, letters I hadn't noticed before. Final notices. Past due. Credit alerts. Linda had been hiding debt. Bills in my name. Services I never used. Internet. Cable. A second store credit card I didn't recognize, opened under a shared account. It was all mine now. Legally. Financially. Spiritually. I stared at the papers and didn't feel betrayal. I felt stupid, because it was all so clear now. I wasn't just financing their comfort. I was underwriting their resentment. They got to live in a house I bought, eat food I paid for, build futures I stretched myself thin to fund, and still look me in the eye and say I was nothing. I closed the drawer, locked it, and put the key in my pocket. Then I sat there and stared at the blank computer screen for a long time. That night, I didn't speak a word. Linda asked if I was okay. I nodded, said I was just tired. She went to bed without pressing. I stayed at the table, staring into a glass of bourbon until the ice melted and the heat in my chest went still. That was when I made my decision. Not loudly, not angrily, just like that. I would stop playing the part they refused to give a name. The next morning, I acted like nothing had changed. Made coffee, took out the trash, kissed Linda on the cheek as she left for work. The boys didn't acknowledge me, as always, and I didn't need them to anymore, because I was already gone. That weekend, I packed up the essentials. Couple shirts, my tools, my documents, left the rest. The TV, the furniture, the grill they loved so much. Let them keep it all. Let them live in the museum of a man they refused to claim. I moved out on a Sunday morning. No note, no goodbye. Just a man walking away from a mortgage and a house filled with silence. By Monday, the calls started. Linda first. Her voice tight. "David, the boys' phones aren't working. What happened?" I said nothing. Tuesday, Jake texted, "My tuition isn't going through. You need to fix this." I didn't respond. Wednesday, Noah called. Left a voicemail. "Hey, gas card's not working. Can you, check on that?" I deleted it. They were confused, irritated, but not afraid yet. Not until the real bills came due. By Thursday, Linda called again. Her tone had shifted. Sharper now. Accusatory. "What did you do?" she hissed. "Jake can't register for classes. Noah's car is out of gas. They're losing it." I listened. Then I said 5 words. "It's not my problem anymore." She screamed, cried, told me I was abandoning them. And maybe I was. But how do you abandon people who never let you arrive? I checked my bank account. Balanced. Clean. For the first time in years, no one else's weight pulling it down. Just mine. The silence that followed was different. Not lonely. Peaceful. A week later, I received an envelope from a debt collector. addressed to Linda, with my name on the cosigned line. I wrote one sentence on a sticky note, folded it inside, and mailed it back. Now it's officially all yours. It didn't take long for them to realize what my absence really meant. At first, they thought it was a bluff. Timeout. The way children test boundaries, expecting the grown-up to cave. Jake even tried calling me from a new number. Left a voicemail like nothing had happened. Hey, I know things got weird, but can we talk? This stuff's important. Important. They never thought I was. But now, suddenly, tuition was important. Gas was important. Insurance was important. And I wasn't there. I watched it all unravel from a distance. One by one, the comforts they never noticed disappeared. The power stayed on, for now. But the Wi-Fi cut out. The streaming accounts defaulted to trial versions. Jake's university portal locked him out. His messages turned from annoyed to frantic. Please just talk to me. Noah sent a single text. This isn't fair. I almost laughed. Fair? Was it fair when I paid for 5 birthdays and got called just mom's guy? Was it fair when they left their dishes in the sink for me like I was the maid? Was it fair when they looked me in the eye and stripped me of a name I never asked for but always tried to earn? The only thing fair now was the balance finally settling. Linda called again. This time her voice was smaller. Less venom, more fear. They're scared, she said. David, please. They're just boys. Boys. Grown enough to reject me with precision, but now children when the bill came due. I said nothing. She started to cry. That night, I opened a folder labeled Accounts. Closed. I had made it the week I left. Inside was a list. Every tuition payment, every allowance transfer, every insurance policy with their names on it. Not out of spite. Not to gloat. Just to remember what I carried. And what they refused to see. The next week, the silence deepened. No calls. No messages. Not even spam from Jake's university. They must have changed the emergency contact. I pictured them in that house, walking the rooms like ghosts, surrounded by a life they thought built itself. Sitting at the dining table I assembled, charging their phones in outlets I wired, turning on a sink connected to pipes I replaced, sweating through the Phoenix summer so they could have running water. All of it was me, but they couldn't see past my absence. They only saw the collapse. A few days later, I got a letter from the university, addressed to financial guarantor. That used to be me. It was a final notice. Payment due. Enrollment suspended. I placed it on the table next to the mug they gave me. Not my dad. There was poetry in it. Brutal, exact. I didn't respond. Then one evening my phone buzzed. Noah. The screen showed only one word. Sorry. That was it. Not we were wrong. Not we didn't know. Just one brittle apology. Thin as paper. Light as breath. I didn't reply, because sorry doesn't rebuild trust. It doesn't refill accounts. It doesn't undo years of mockery dressed as teenage rebellion. And it damn sure doesn't make you family. I thought that would be the end of it. But then the knock came. It was a Tuesday, late, the kind of night where the sky hangs low and heavy, like it wants to press your ribs flat. I was sitting on the balcony of my apartment, a smaller place near the coast. Just me and the dog. A mutt named Bricks. Best listener I've ever met. I heard it, a single knock. Then again. Not desperate. Measured. I opened the door. Jake. He looked older. Not in the good way. Gaunt. Unshaven. Eyes sunken like something in him had been scraped out and tossed. We stood there for a moment. Neither of us speaking. Then he said it. I messed up. That was all. No grand speech. No hug. No tears. Just that. I let him in. Not out of forgiveness, but because I wanted to hear what rock bottom sounded like. He sat on the couch like he didn't know how to use furniture anymore. Bricks sniffed him once, then laid at my feet. Jake stared at the floor, said nothing for a long time. Finally, he asked, "Why didn't you say anything? All those years?" I let the question hang. Then I answered, slow and cold. Because I kept thinking I could earn it. That if I showed up enough, paid enough, fixed enough, eventually one of you would see me. He nodded. slowly, like a man trying to nod his way out of guilt. I thought you were just, like a guy. I was. He flinched. That word was cut deeper than any insult he'd ever thrown. I didn't get it back then, he said. I didn't understand what you were doing, what it cost you. You weren't supposed to understand. You were supposed to appreciate it. He looked at me then. Really looked. I do now. But it was too late. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Anger burns fast and loud, then dies. What I felt now was colder. Something like pity. Not for him. For the man I used to be. The man who kept setting a table for people who never pulled up a chair. Jake asked if I would help with the tuition. Just one more semester. I'll pay you back, he said. I swear. I'll get a job. I just need to stay enrolled. I shook my head. No. His mouth opened. Closed. The protest died before it formed. He nodded again. This time with the weight of truth behind it. I understand. No, I said. You don't. But one day you will. He stood. Quiet. Looked around my place, the small kitchen, the old TV, the single photo of bricks on the wall. It's peaceful here, he said. I nodded. Yeah, it is. He left without another word. The door clicked shut. Final. No drama. I looked down at Bricks, who hadn't moved. We're not going back, I told him. He wagged his tail. That night, I sat on the balcony and watched the ocean. Let the wind fill my lungs. Let the silence fill my bones. And for the first time, I didn't feel used. Didn't feel forgotten. I just felt free. 6 months. That's how long it's been since I walked out of that house. 6 months since the last bill came in my name. 6 months since anyone there said my name out loud. Now I live in a 2-bedroom apartment overlooking the coast. Smaller place. Simpler life. The second bedroom's empty. Except for some tools, a few spare shirts, and an old bookshelf. Bricks sleeps there sometimes when the ocean gets too loud. I start my mornings with silence. No doors slamming. No boys yelling across the hallway. No Linda stepping between us with that smile that said, just let it go. David. It's not worth the fight. I make my own coffee. Feed the dog. Go for a run before the sun scorches the pavement. It's quiet here. And I've learned something about quiet. It isn't loneliness. It's clarity. When you strip away the noise, the disrespect, the obligations no one thanks you for, the contortions of trying to be loved by people who never plan to love you, what you're left with is truth. And truth is clean. They stopped calling. After Jake's visit, the silence turned absolute. No more texts. No emails. Not even a forwarded bill. The last thing I heard from Linda was a voicemail 2 months ago. Her voice was low. Tired. She said the house was falling apart. Jake had dropped out. Noah picked up a part-time job, but they were barely holding on. She ended the message with one sentence. You were the spine, David. We just didn't see it. I didn't respond, because it wasn't about being seen. It was about being respected. And they never did. Linda let it happen. She let them shrink me into a bank account with arms. She stood by as they laughed at the idea of me being part of their bloodline. And when the money dried up, that was the only moment she raised her voice. Not when I was bleeding into their lives. Only when they had to bleed without me. I see it all now, every subtle betrayal. Every time she let me carry the weight so she wouldn't have to parent. Every time she looked away when Jake sneered, or Noah rolled his eyes, or they weaponized the absence of their father like it was a sword I had to dodge in my own kitchen. She didn't protect me, and in that silence she chose sides. That's what people don't understand. It's not the yelling that breaks a man. It's the quiet. It's the dinners where nobody talks to you. The birthdays where the cake's sliced without your name. The family photos where you're behind the camera, not in front of it. They think love is loud, but neglect whispers, and it never stops. So I moved out of their story, closed the chapter, threw out the script I'd been reading from, the one that said if I just gave enough, tried hard enough, bled long enough, they'd eventually let me in. Turns out, some doors were never meant to open. A few weeks ago, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in years. Dan, an old coworker. He looked at me like I'd come back from the dead. "You look good," he said. "Healthier." That hit me harder than it should have, because I didn't realize how sick I had gotten. Not in body, in soul. That house had poisoned me, slowly, like carbon monoxide. You don't smell it, don't see it, but every day you get a little more tired, a little less yourself, until one day you either leave or die with a smile stretched across your corpse. I chose to leave, and now I live by new rules. No one eats from my table without respect. No one calls me nobody and still gets the benefits of my presence. Love must be earned. Loyalty must be mutual. And silence, when it comes to cruelty, is complicity. Do I miss them? Sometimes. I miss the idea of them. The dream I built in my head. The one where Jake asks for advice, where Noah helps me in the garage, where Linda looks at me like I'm hers, not just convenient. That dream was beautiful, but it was never real, and I will not mourn illusions. A few days ago, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. I recognized the handwriting instantly. Noah. Inside were 5 lines. David, I was a jerk. I didn't get it. I get it now. I wish I had listened. I'm sorry. I hope you're okay. No excuses. No requests. Just a boy too late to the truth. I read it twice. Folded it. Placed it in the back of my bookshelf, behind the old photo of Bricks as a puppy. And I left it there. Because closure doesn't always come in the form of forgiveness. Sometimes it's just a letter that says you were right. Will I ever speak to them again? I don't know. Maybe one day, when the anger rots out of Jake's voice and Linda learns how to say, "I failed you," without twisting it into blame. But that door's not mine to knock on anymore. They locked me out. Let them knock if they want in. Because now I live for truth. Not performance. Not obligation. Not the illusion of family sewn together with my credit score. And I ask myself, in the quiet of each morning, when the coffee is strong and the air is still, was I wrong? Was I wrong to cut them off? To let them fall so they could finally understand who carried them? Or was this the only lesson left? The only way to teach them that love without respect is theft? And I was done being robbed? You tell me, if a man gives everything, and the only thing he gets back is silence and scorn, at what point is he allowed to walk away? Tell me, would you have stayed?